They left her out there to die. Not quick, not loud, just slow and quiet, like tossing a wounded stray into the heat and waiting for the sun to finish the work. It was July in Mojave, one of the months where the air dawn't breathe back. Sonora Flats lay still beneath the kind of sun that splits old lumber and blinds horses if they run too long. Colt Harrow, 42, had lived through enough hell to know when something was off. He was soft not after lowering a brother into the ground, burning down a home, and losing the woman who once called him hers. But what he saw that day, well, that ain't to the kind of sight a man forgets. She was standing on the far edge of his ranch, by the fence post he hadn't mended in years. Barefoot, dress soaked up to the knees, a sack knotted hard over her head grain burlap. No slits, no mercy. Wrists tied. Rope burns dug deep, worse than barbed wire. And still, she did move. Did run. Did scream. She just waited like she already knew nobody was coming. Now tell me, you ever seen something so wrong it makes your teeth ache? Colt stepped down from his horse, didn't say a single word. Just walked slow like a man stepping toward a cliff edge where he could see the bottom. The girl whispered, voice so dry it cracked mid-syllable. Please, take them off. Not loud, not dramatic, just hollow like the words were the last thing she owned. Colt's fingers, rough from posts and firewood, reached for the knob. It was tied cruel, tied with hate. Took near 3 minutes to pry loose. And when the sack dropped, what he saw once, T cursed. It was 19 years of someone else's cruelty. Wrapped in silence, Colt did ask her name. Didn't ask where she came from, or what in God this name had happened. He just lifted her onto the saddle, gentle, and rode back, slow toward the cabin. The ride was quiet, but not awkward quiet. It was the silence of two people who both had seen too much. Back at the ranch, Colt poured her a tin of water. She drank like it stung, but did spill a drop. He boiled a potato, slid her the bigger half. Did explain. Did need to. She sat near the fire, wrapped in one of his old quilts. Did speak for near 20 minutes. Colt did pressing, never opened a soul out here. Finally she glanced at him, voice soft as wind. They said if a man looked too long, he'd be cursed. Colt did blink. Don't sound like a curse. Sounds like cowards. She smiled, crooked, faint, but it was something. Next morning, Colt found her hanging his shirts on the line. She wasn't asking to stay, but she wasn't asking to go either. But word in a place like Sonora Flats, it travels faster than a rattler in dry brush. By sundown, the saloon was buzzing. Some claimed she was a patch, some whispered witch. One drunk swore she was a ghost Colt dug up and fell for. Colt did give a damn what they said. He had fences split, a horse limping, and a girl with rope scars, who jumped every time he coughed too hard. But that evening, things changed. 2 men rode in from the south road. Did wave. Did smile. Just sat their horses, staring at the house like it owed them. Colt stepped onto the porch, shotgun still resting on the rack above the door. Inside, the girl froze, hands shaking, eyes wide like she recognized the smell of them before even seeing their faces. They weren't here for neighbor talk. And Colt knew if 2 had come now, more would follow later. He did know their names, but he knew the type. 2 clean for hands, 2 quiet for wanderers, and they sat their saddles like men who thought they owned whatever they saw. The taller one tipped his hat. Looking for a girl, he said. Red hair, wears a sack. Colt did blink. Haven't seen her. The other one chuckled low. She limps a little. Pretty if you can stomach the silence. Inside, the girl held her breath, hands gripping the edge of the table like it might keep her afloat. Colt stepped down from the porch, calm as stone. She ain't here. You can ride on. The tall man leaned in. She ain't yours to keep, Harrow. That did it. Colt, his voice dropped low, heavy, thunder quiet. She ain't anyone as to keep. She ain't stock. She ain't property. She is a person. The men did push further. Not yet. They turned their horses and rode away. But the way they looked back told Colt clear they weren't done. That night the girl did cry. Did speak. Just sat by the fire holding a hawk feather she found that morning. Funny thing about feathers, they show up after storm. She looked at Colt, voice barely there. They'll come back. Maybe, he said. Next morning she wasn't hiding. She was walking the fence in Colt's old boots, shirt tucked like she belonged. And when Colt asked if she wanted to stay, she did say yes. She just whispered, I am tired of running. Now I'll tell you something. If you've followed this story this far, you wore The kind of person who believes people can change, who believes maybe the West did to bury all its kindness after all. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and don't miss what comes next, because the worst part of this tale, the part that still haunts folks in Sonora Flats, is right around the corner. They came back on the third night, not two this time. 4. No lamps, no greetings, just hooves, slow, sure. Colt heard them before they reached the gate. He always did the way a man does after years of sleeping with one ear open. He stepped outside with the shotgun. Did T raise it? Did T need to? Not yet. The leader, same tall one, dismounted. Grant Teller. That name had drifted through border towns for years. Missing girls, marked cards, whiskey debts unpaid. Grant spat in the dust. She belongs to the man who paid, he said. Colt did T flinch. She ain't T property. Grant stepped closer. She's a cursin' flesh. She heard every word. But this time she did T shrink. Did T hide in shadows. She opened the door barefoot, wrapped in Colt's old quilt. Eyes steady. You afraid of me? She asked. The men glanced confused. Grant stepped back half a pace before catching himself. You beat me, she said. You sold me. You left me in dirt, said I'd bring ruin, but look who's shaking now. Colt raised the shotgun, calm as sunrise. You all ride out now, he said, and if I see you near this land again, you want to ride out at all. They did T argue, did T spit, just turned and vanished into the dark. When they were gone, she sat on the porch, not crying, just breathing like someone who hadn't T breathed in years. And Colt, he just sat beside her. Did T speak? Didn't need to. After that night, things went quiet. Not the quiet of fear, the quiet you earn, the quiet that settles after storms pass and nothing shatters anymore. She did T hide. Did T flinch. She walked the fence lines at dawn like she owned the sun. And Colt, he did T ask questions. He just watched like a man watching something heal. One day a wagon crept up the trail. Slow, dusty. Inside a woman in a faded dress. Shoes cracked, a child asleep on her lap. She stepped down, looked at the girl and whispered, I was with you in Texas, before they split us. The girl did T cried. She just lifted the child in her arms, led the woman inside. That night Colt only opened the barn door, pointed to the loft. There's room. And that is how it began. Not with speeches, not with parade, but with people the world had thrown away, choosing not to be finished. They fixed up the south room. The new woman stitched quilts from canvas and worn shirts. The girl planted herbs by the collinwood. The kid sorted nails by size and sang when she thought no one listened. By spring the town stopped whispering. Some waved, some left jars of peaches. Nobody asked questions. She never wore the sack again. But one day she took it from the drawer, walked to the pasture, and hung it from the fence. Let the wind take it. Did T chase? Didn't look back. Now let me ask you. How many folks you know got treated worse than dirt but still stood up and kept walking? How many were told they were cursed but still found the will to be kind? Sometimes the strongest ain't T the loudest. They're the ones who don't wait for permission to matter. They just do. And if her story touched something in you, if it made you think of someone who survived more than they ever should have, then hit that like button, drop a comment, and maybe subscribe. Because out here in the West, we don't bury people in silence. We tell their story, and maybe, just maybe, you will stick around for the next one.